Hey guys, Kevin Shaw here, Editor-in-Chief of Mopar Connection Magazine. Going to do a quick little video today going over the short block that we picked up from our friend Chuck in the previous video that we call We Found Hemi Heaven. This is the short block that we picked up, and we're just going to go over a little bit. We're going to tear it down, and then with the last few minutes of the video, we're actually going to go over it with a ball hone. This is the first time that we've ever done a ball hone. We're not going to go through the full machine process like we normally do with all of our big horsepower engine builds, because this one's going to stay pretty mild and we don't need to go super crazy, and that way we're going to save a few bucks, show you guys how to save a few bucks, and hopefully you can replicate this on your own in your own garage. Hey guys, I just want to take a quick minute to let you know that we've got the Mopar Connection store up and running, where you can find all sorts of t-shirts and hoodies in a ton of colors and different sizes. We've even got designs for some of our project cars like Zombie and the Brazen Charger. So make sure to check out the link in the video description below. Now, when we grabbed the short block from Chuck Davis just a couple weeks ago, he assured us that it was out of a truck. He believed it was a macho wagon. We do have a lot of information on the block. We have a February 26, 1978 casting date on it, and then we have a machining date of March 23rd, 1978. And it does have the standard 46630 casting. That is the standard casting number for all 440 blocks from 1975 up to 1979. They all had that same casting number on the side. And on the number pad, we also have, in addition to the date, we also are given the 8T number, that is signifying 1978 440. And you'll see next to it, it has the E stamping. E stamping tells us that it has a standard cast crank. So first, the question is, how smoothly does this turn over? That was a big concern of mine when I first saw it, because I thought we were looking at a pretty ridged cylinder. Turns out, it turns beautifully and didn't require much of anything. In fact, when we sprayed a bunch of PB Blaster down the cylinders, they didn't even leak past. We were able to pull it up really well, meaning that the rings are actually still really good. We are going to be changing the rings, but that is encouraging to know that our rings are not rusted to the cylinders, they haven't been broken apart, that this was a good running engine when it was taken out and bagged. Even though I am going to degrease this quite a bit once we've taken it all apart, and I am going to hit it with the pressure washer, I'm pretty sure I want to get this thing tanked. I'm okay spending the money to make sure I have a nice clean palette to start with. I think a lot of people try to cut corners and save a few bucks doing it that way. You can. I personally don't. I'd rather take it up to the machine shop and have them do it. But first, let's just start taking this apart. I'm going to take the old oil sensor off, and we'll take the oil pump off and just start nipping away at this engine a little bit and getting it ready for our 1970 Plymouth Fury convertible that we call Project Marcia. Now, a lot of stuff that we can't replace, a lot of hardware that we just don't have, we're going to be ending up calling up our friends at ARP, and where necessary, the good guys over at 440 Source. I found that 440 Source has been, quite frankly, exactly what they advertise, and that is the ultimate source for your big block Mopars. Those guys have just been fantastic. We are taking out the plug for our mechanical fuel pump cam. And there it is. Let's pop the oil pump off, then we'll get the pan and go from there. That broke it loose. All right. Came off good. Gasket's still there. Holy cow. Still got some gasket material left. Always want to look at it. Alright. Looks okay. Got a little bit of wear marks. Just some witness marks. Let's wipe that down. Just a few witness marks. But cam looks good. Totally reusable. Got a little bit of heat, but nothing that the ultrasonic cleaner can't fix. All right. All right, with the engine upside down, we can take the pan off. Now, being that we're putting this engine in a C-body, we cannot use this pan. This is a truck pan. It's not going to work for what we're doing. That's all right. It also means that the center sump, or the rear sump, we're going to have to change out to a center sump. Again, really not a big deal. It's just stuff that we got to be ready to spend a little money on. But spending money on an oiling system is money well spent. Ha! Boy, that came right off. Easy breezy. Now let's take a look at the inside. Let's see how bad it was. Well, I'm not seeing any metal. Just years of sitting underneath a workbench in northern Kentucky. Cork gasket. Pretty sure that's not factory. Oh well. Oh boy. Ooh, cam bearing. Camshaft bearing. I think that fell apart long after the engine was taken apart. I don't think this engine spun a cam bearing, from what I understand. Let's take our sump out. Let's start cracking rod bolts and sliding these pistons out. I'm gonna have to decode these rods. I don't know the rods. You guys know these rod numbers, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Do I even change these rings? These things are beautiful. I can't believe it. I mean, for being, you know, 45-year-old rings, these things look great. That's hilarious. I'm not seeing anything really out of the ordinary. Obviously, we're in the center. Get a little bit of a, looks like we got a little bit of debris. It caused a etching mark right there. Something got in the bearing at one point. Yeah, that got down to the copper. But look like the bearing did its job. Looks like the bearing did its job. I'll have to check the I'll check the journal. But I think our journals look really good. This big old heavy pig out. Oh boy. Well, I think the next steps are going to be hitting this with a lot of degreaser, let the degreaser do its job, and then hit it with the pressure washer, make a big old mess with the pressure washer, and then from there we'll do the ball hone, and once we ball hone it and spray it down, we'll throw it in the bed of the truck and take it to Tommy's. We'll have Tommy press out all of the freeze plugs and the cam bearings, press in new cam bearings. We should be in good shape. I think this will be a really good engine for Marcia, and really should come out very nicely. So I'm excited for it. Got some CRC degreaser. We'll see how we do. Okay, when it comes to ball hones, there's a couple steps that you can take. A lot of people just get a fine ball hone. This is a 230, and it's not so much about the revolutions on the drill as it is multiple passes. You want to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you want to be really consistent and be well oiled. And a lot of people will use diesel fuel, they'll use engine oil. I went ahead and got the actual good stuff. I got the official brand Flex Hone honing oil. It wasn't much more than what I already was spending, so I went ahead and did that. And I did buy everything off of online on Amazon, so if you guys are wondering where to go, you can just go to Amazon if you want to support them. This, I'm going to be starting off with a 120 grit. That's an extra step a lot of people typically don't do. I'm choosing to do it only because I want to knock off any heavy corrosion and get rid of that lip that we fought with when it came to pulling the pistons out. So this is our 120. We're going to put this on the electric drill and get it nice and sopping wet and make a few passes, and then we'll move over to the finishing hone and see how we do. You're doing a pretty good job of knocking this lip off, but I think you guys can see that ridge right there. The other thing you're going to see, and you're going to have to look real closely, is there's still a little bit of pitting there, just a little bit of residual from years of sitting, and just some pockmarking there, and that's just from water and dirt just collecting and eating away at the metal. It's not visible anywhere else, but the ridge is all the way around. So I'm going to keep knocking on the ridge and see how much it takes to get this to be ridge free. I will tell you though, these do radius the outside lip. It's not nearly as sharp as the machine surface. These do radius a little bit of the outside lip, but we got most of that lip out. It's quite a bit more, and we did get all the pockmarking out, so this is doing the job. I'm going to start working on the other cylinders. It's taking me about 15 minutes per cylinder. So I'll see if I can't speed this process up a little bit. I wanted to go over a couple observations in the process of ball honing for you guys who've never done it before. First and foremost, you're going to want a drill that's going to be able to maintain consistent speed. It's not about being the fastest, it's more about consistency and having torque. We were originally using our little battery powered Ryobi here. This guy gave up the ghost pretty quickly. Tore through 2 batteries, just wasn't doing enough, and I realized very quickly that my good old DeWalt was going to be the right answer, not only because it's consistent, not only because it has the torque, but one of the best features is right here on the trigger. I've got a lock, so I can lock it and not have to sit there and squeeze for 8 minutes per cylinder while I grind back and forth, doing several hundred passes up and down the cylinder. Now, even at 120, 130 grit, I'm not able to totally knock off the little ridge that several tens of thousands of miles, if not hundreds of thousands of miles, have been able to groove into the cylinder. I can take down a little bit of that shelf so that my fingernail can't catch on it, but I'm still going to see a little bit of a witness mark. I'm still going to see a little bit of what's left of it. But the big thing is to be able to get any pitting, any sort of heavy oxidation, and to get that little shelf off of the top of the cylinder. I'm pretty happy with these. Now, a lot of people are a little bit on the fence as to whether you want it really shiny or whether you want it really dull. What I really wanted to have was a consistent striation. I wanted to be able to see those hash marks in the cylinder. And even though I'm going from a 120, 130 to a 230, I am knocking down the bigger hash marks, the bigger cross hatching, but I am also cleaning up the cylinder a little bit. Again, this is not a high compression motor. We're not making big power out of it, but we are trying to have a nice clean cylinder so that we're able to have equal oiling up and down the cylinder, and that the rings aren't catching or the rings aren't being hung up at all. We don't want any sort of failure like that. One last bit is we've been going over with our mics just to see if we're taking any material off. I know a lot of people say, no, you're just polishing. But some people will argue, oh yes, you are taking material off, and now you've opened up your cylinders and you're going to have any trouble if you choose to use the same pistons and rings. Thankfully, we got our digital mics out. We've been going over. Factory bore is 4.320. We are seeing on average our cylinders are just a hair under that. On the other side that we haven't polished yet, we've been seeing 4317, 4319, 432, 4315, and just taking these over, 43205, 43106, and these have all been polished. Yeah, 4317, 43205. So again, this is a very safe, very affordable way to clean up your cylinders. If you do have a block that might be sitting out, that has just been oxidized, that you just want to do a clean refresh, something very easy, something very cheap, this might be the choice for you. And it is, as you can see, very messy. You're going to fling this stuff everywhere. I do have the machine oil, the honing oil in a spray bottle. It was a lot easier than using the drip method. But you are going to whip this stuff everywhere, so maybe do it outside, do it on the driveway or in the backyard like I am today. But for all intents and purposes, this is going to be a really good option for you guys who are looking at maybe saving some money or looking at spending your money a little bit more wisely. So again, guys, I want to thank you all for sticking around this late in the video. My name is Kevin Shaw, and you've been watching Mopar Connection Magazine. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, maybe leave a comment, and share it with your friends. It'll definitely help us grow the channel. And if you want more awesome Mopar content, we're much more than a YouTube channel. Mopar Connection Magazine is the only daily digital Mopar enthusiast magazine that publishes every single day, Monday through Friday. We publish new articles at www.moparconnectionmagazine.com that are entirely subscription free to you. There's no login, there's no password. As long as you've got a Wi-Fi signal, you can read the articles. So go check us out over at www.moparconnectionmagazine. We'll see you there.